Coming up on this episode of Coordinated.
We are back. We're back with part 2 of our inspiring conversation with Edward Biedermann, Executive Director, AP Outreach at the College Board. Now, in case you missed part 1, please be sure to find that episode in your feed and catch up on all the great stories and ideas that Edward already shared. And of course, stay tuned. We have a lot more excellent conversation coming right up. Edward's career as an AP coordinator, AP teacher, school principal, and now at the College Board? Well, one might say that his influence in the world of AP, it has expanded well beyond the reaches of even the mighty New York City. Thanks again for being with us. Let's dive right in to more conversation with Edward Biedermann.
Period 2. Motivated.
So, Edward, to quickly hit refresh, we're in New York. Your career starts in the classroom, teaching classes like AP US History and AP US Government. Then you transition to an assistant principal role, then to principal. Along the way, you embrace the AP coordinator role. And then, the College Board. How did that come about?
That's a great question. Through a friend, actually. So the College Board, I've been in the College Board 6-ish years now. And the College Board at the time was looking for someone who could help Florida launch a program that would connect AP coursework with career and tech ed programs, such that students would have a more seamless program of study that would both provide them with skills to use in the workplace and with academic preparation for higher education. And so the College Board had posted this role. A friend, colleague at the DOE, in the New York City DOE, kind of forwarded it to me and said, "Edward, you were made for this role. I'm submitting your resume if you don't." And so, kind of fast forward a few months, I had gone to Harbor School. I was there to kind of help. I had arrived to help them transition a theme school. Harbor School had originally been founded in Mayor Bloomberg at the time's small school initiative, where you kind of break up these very large comprehensive high schools, thousands and thousands of students in New York City. You break them up into smaller high schools. As part of his reform efforts, the Harbor School was came to life out of that movement. It had originally been located in landlocked Bushwick, Brooklyn, and made no sense for a marine science and technology school to be out there. The school spent its first several years out there and then had moved over to Governor's Island when the city had invested in new space for that small school. That's when I joined the Harbor School. And when they made that move, they were transitioning from the theme of their high school, the focus, the academic focus, to being a program that a school that had credentialing programs for students in New York State for marine science and technology career pathways. I had gone to help them in that transition. New York State, like most states, require steps to take to ensure that you have good programs of study built in for CTE space. And so I had gone to help them do that. We had done that. We kind of got 6 CTE programs. The school didn't just have one CTE program. We were ambitious and created 6. And so I felt really good about that. I had my experience being an assistant principal, being an AP coordinator. They had advanced me to the role of principal along the way, and that was great fun. Great fun, super exciting. Including storms and buildings being shut, and so a colleague had sent the job posting, said, Edward, this is for you. A few months later, I joined the College Board to help the state of Florida really think about how you can combine AP coursework in CTE programs of study, potentially in the same class, so students can be working simultaneously toward AP exams and the credit that comes with qualifying scores in AP exams, and along the way also earn a technical credential. And so that was so I started there at the College Board in that program, and then was quickly moved into my current role to support schools, districts, states in a much broader capacity as they implement their AP programs.
Right, Edward. When you say much broader, it's not just the state of Florida anymore. It's the whole United States now that you have. I believe your title says it all, right? Executive Director of Outreach.
That is true. Yeah. I lead a team. I lead a team of colleagues who help support schools and states and districts as they think about implementing their AP program, implementing, growing, improving their AP programs. We really help schools at kind of like an individual school level think about participation, increasing access to AP, and getting more students to participate in these college level courses while they're in high school. We also talk to schools about how they can support increased performance of students that they do have in those classes. A lot of what my team does is create training programs or modules for teachers, for school leaders, to help them think about what they can do, what they can do in their buildings and in their sphere of influence to get more kids experiencing college level courses through AP and that potential opportunity to earn college credit while they're still in high school. A lot of what we do, Derek, is about being thought partners really with schools and states and districts. Some of the best work is happening in our nation's schools. And so what I like most about my job is before this, before kind of the current health crisis here in the country and COVID, we would travel and we would go and visit schools. You can't kind of quite take in what's happening in school unless you're there in the building and with the AP coordinators and with the AP teachers and with the school principals. And so a lot of what we did previously is be in schools and be thought partners with them and hear their stories and understand kind of the challenges that their schools were facing and the solutions that they would put in place to overcome them, and then cascade that good thinking and that hard work to others. I sharing best practices, promising practices, what's new, what folks are trying. I think about kind of specific examples. There was a district in Missouri that we visited. It was district leadership was like, we want to go all in for AP. Kind of how do we do that in a way that is supportive for everyone that will participate? And so, the big thing there was helping the schools in the district. It was a multi-high school district, helping the schools in the district really understand that in those early years, it was not about performance. We're not talking about the number, the percentage of students earning qualifying scores of 3 or higher. We're talking about the number of students that take on that challenge of college level coursework. We're talking about supporting teachers as they take on those that new AP course load and the responsibilities of teaching AP. How do we underscore all of the leadership actions in the district and its schools to make sure that everyone understood that it was about persistence through the year, that every student kind of signed up, made it through the year, completed their AP journey with that exam score. We weren't overly concerned about performance. And clearly we wanted, kids to do well and do everything we could to make sure they did well. But we were laser focused on setting the right foundation for those courses. And so we learned a lot about what leadership can do to signal that, to dial down any anxieties that students or teachers may have in those early years of fledgling AP programs. I think about, we did a tour of schools in Tennessee who were thinking about bringing on AP and were expressing some challenges in the way that they were growing AP programs. We learned in that case that master schedules, providing school leaders with examples of master schedules and how AP is folded in to the school's big programming is helpful, especially when you have a lot of competing priorities in your building, right? for any AP coordinator that's listening that is involved in master schedule making, singletons, those kind of what the singleton classes, right? That it's like it's only one is offered, and kind of they become anchor points in a master schedule around which all the other classes are kind of built. In schools that have singletons that are not AP, that are something else, you kind of like, how do you build around there? We did a lot of great thinking from rural schools in Tennessee. I think back to a school in Oregon that we visited, a very small school in Oregon that wanted to bring on AP. And we thought about how do we, in that case, there weren't enough students in the building to have 2 sections of English 11. So how do we make English 11 AP English language? How do we make U.S. history in grade 11 AP U.S. history for all students? What would the supports be required for this class of 12 kids? Because there were that was the number of students in the entire 11th grade, and so we did some good thinking with them along the way. And then, of course, the giant districts, Chicago, Houston, Miami, we get to support them in exciting ways and meeting their needs. We meet annually with those big, large districts to think about ways that we can support support their schools and their students in those big urban centers who have a unique set of challenges as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Edward, you clearly do so much for everyone involved in advanced placement. And I mean, listening to these stories you're sharing with us, I mean, everyone, like AP teachers, school administrators, sometimes district administrators. But of course, you're also involved with AP coordinators. And with so much going on in your world, I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here. Can you share something that perhaps AP coordinators might not be aware of? And I guess when I say that, I mean something that would be good for AP coordinators to know when they are having conversations with colleagues or with families or school leadership who are interested in hearing more about AP.
Sure. Well, I guess kind of most importantly for this year, if AP coordinators haven't heard, we want them all to know that AP exams this year will be full length AP exams, including both multiple choice and free response questions, covering the full scope of course content and skills. They might also be wondering, how is that going to happen? We want AP coordinators to know that we're working with educators to finalize an expanded exam schedule that considers the range of timelines schools are on. So that exam schedule and information about contingency testing options for May, should schools need more options, will be posted to AP Central in February, and of course announced via email to AP coordinators, to teachers, to administrators. So we do want, we want to make sure that AP coordinators know that we are monitoring kind of the health conditions that schools are facing locally and what that would mean for AP administration this year. So I think that's an important thing for AP coordinators to know. There are other things, actually, if I can, now that I'm thinking about it, something else that I always try to say. There's this, you may have heard it. There's this pernicious kind of ugly rumor that fewer universities and colleges are accepting qualifying scores of 3 or higher. Or even worse rumor is that you have to get a 5 to get advanced placement or credit for AP. I don't know where these rumors came from, but they're just simply not true. In fact, quite the opposite is true. And so I want every AP coordinator to know that if you're talking to a student or a teacher or a parent who is worried that AP, the value of AP is not recognized at colleges and universities, please tell them that's not true at all. In fact, more colleges and universities than ever before are accepting AP for credit and placement of freshmen into their classes. We have more, and I actually think that we have more now than ever. Growing numbers of universities and departments within universities are accepting scores of 3. You don't have to have a score of 5 to earn credit or placement in AP. There are some departments that do require that, and some universities or some departments at some universities that do require that, but not every university requires a 5. So many of them, except 3s. That is the benchmark for college level for having mastered or being recommended for credit in that college level course. And so if anyone is curious on this, the College Board actually has a web page for students at apstudents.collegeboard.org that will help them. They can literally look up any school, any kind of university of higher ed and their AP credit policies. We post it right there for students to check. So we would encourage them to do so. And we give a link directly to the university's web page where the university updates their policies. So students can verify that what we have posted on AP Central for AP students on our College Board web properties are also what the university is posting on their web pages. So I think that's really, that's something I'd love for AP coordinators to know, that this is an ugly rumor about AP, just an ugly rumor about AP. You have to get a 5 in order for AP to work for you. That's not true at all. Or that fewer universities are accepting AP credit. But Derek, as I'm talking about this, something else. If coordinators are talking to students, something that you might say to them that, and I'm drawing from my own experiences as a college freshman. What was really cool, what was really cool for me about AP, and not just being able to advance to the next level courses, was that it was a shared experience. You get to college and you meet new people, you're nervous, you're like, are they going to like me? What are we going to have anything in common? Who, am I going to have friends?
Right.
You're kind of like 18 and you've survived high school, but yet you have this like new kind of, you experience it all over again for the first time.
Absolutely.
You are a freshman again. And you can use AP as a shared experience, right? AP Bio is taught almost the same. I mean, it's the same topics in every AP Bio class in every classroom in the country, right? And so what's exciting is that you can use that as a moment of a shared experience, much the same way if you were on the basketball team or you played a sport and it's like, oh, I played, I was on volleyball too, or whatever it is. If you were in dance or student government, whatever that. AP can be that shared experience, and so many students graduating in each cohort take an AP class that you're likely to have that shared experience with someone else. So I think that's kind of a neat thing to remind students that it's not just about earning the college credit and placement, although that is a very nice financial benefit. It's about building the skills and the experience of challenging yourself to do hard coursework. But then it is also about that shared experience you would have with others who have gone through it through programs or sat in AP classes.
Yeah, Edward, thanks for sharing that. I've spoken to AP coordinators a lot, but I don't think I've ever thought of it from that perspective in terms of that college freshman shared experience, connector value of being a fellow AP student. That's really good to know. So thank you for sharing that. That's a great tip, and everyone will be right back after another quick tip from a fellow AP coordinator. So hang with us. Don't miss our continued conversation with Edward as I ask him to reveal some of the secrets to a successful AP program. Now that's a cliffhanger.
Hello, fellow AP coordinators. Carly Suge here, AP coordinator and counselor at Costa Mesa High School in Southern California. I just wanted to share a quick note about something new for AP coordinators. In the past, for those of us who received large volume exam rebate checks in the mail, you know that we also received a letter with that check. The letter stated what the money was intended to be used for. The check typically arrived in the fall after AP exams had been completed. See page 15 of the AP Coordinators Manual, Part 1, for more details on the rebate itself. So here's what's new. For schools to be eligible to receive that large volume exam rebate, the AP coordinator, that's us, we must indicate the intended use of the rebate in advance. and we must do this in AP registration and ordering. In AP registration and ordering, we do this on the Orders page. Just look for the Large Volume Rebate tab in AP registration and ordering. The deadline to complete this task is not until June 25th, 2021. Good luck in 2021, everyone. Stay safe.
Period 3. Coordinated.
All right, Edward. Before that pro tip from one of our colleagues, I built up this part of our conversation quite a bit. So I hope you don't mind, but I'll need your help to make sure it lives up to the billing.
I'm going to try.
All right. Well, let's get started with this. So your background and your current role make you uniquely qualified to answer this. And I'm going to ask you to please put on your former principal hat. So as a principal, what are some things that you did, or perhaps things that you have heard other principals do, to effectively support and collaborate with their AP coordinators?
That's a great question. So let me think for a moment. So the first thought that popped into my head was I made it easy for them. And now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if that's actually true. As I had said before, kind of AP student, really was sold on how awesome the AP program was for me as a young person, and kind of what it meant in boosting my confidence to take on attending college and super competitive universities. I was an AP teacher and kind of had that experience and what that was like, and teaching AP in a school that didn't have it before. You can imagine the set of challenges that brings, challenges and opportunities that brings. Then I had been the AP coordinator at the Harbor School. I was an assistant principal, so then I become principal. I relinquished that role. And for me, I think because I had all of those experiences, supporting the AP program was always a high priority for me because I had lived it, right? So the AP coordinator really didn't have to ask for anything or be worried about asking for anything because I was like, yes, where do I sign? So I was excited about it. So thinking about some of the things that we did, right? You clear the way. I tried to clear the path for some best practices that you have, right? So the AP coordinator never had to negotiate. Can we turn the bells off during the school bells off during the admin week, or do I have to negotiate to get the best, the classroom on that one wing of the school building that is so far away from everybody else, or those set of classrooms, right, that are far away from the rest of the school, to kind of have time to kind of dedicated proctor testing space. The coordinator didn't have to ask twice. I don't even think I had to ask me to make sure that we had additional support staff in the hallways monitoring foot traffic in that portion of the school at that time to make sure that worked. We did fun things. I mean, that didn't have to ask to make sure we had enough pencils and pens, and I even actually let them kind of use my office as a staging site as we kind of they prepared the exam materials, making sure that everything was ready to go, and in the packets that you would take for the proctor's packets. Except, I said that I was a hovering AP teacher back when I was an AP. I think maybe I was a hovering principal too. But
Edward, if I think I know you well enough to know that giving up your principal's office was another way of sort of keeping an eye on things too. You were being generous, but also being a good principal and keeping an eye on things too.
Yes, true. I'm going to go with phrasing that I was being as supportive as possible.
Okay.
Yeah. So those were some things we did, but we did fun things too, right? So we breakfast was a big deal. I wanted to make sure that kind of kids had, if they were not able to have a good breakfast at home before coming into the building, that we had breakfast for them. I know in some years that we made sure that we kind of ordered additional fun, healthy treats for them before exam. I remember years where we would convene all the kids and we would say the AP kids before the first exam admin and remind them that we were already proud of them. We didn't need the results of this exam to be proud of how much they had grown, how much they had learned, what they had done. In early years, when it was just a single class, I literally would take, when I would go into single classrooms and give that message, I would give an example of every kid in the class to really make them feel good about what they accomplished. When we convened larger groups of students, I would describe experiences, the shared experiences they had, right? Like, I'm proud of you for the fortitude that you showed this school year, for the resilience and bouncing back when you got an exam score that wasn't, a class exam score that wasn't so great. When you got feedback on your essay that you thought was phenomenal, but the teacher thought that there was room for improvement. Your the cheerfulness and your stick-to-itiveness that you brought to the classroom every day. We would just kind of describe those experiences, those characteristics that we know can be brought out in students in an AP class. We would share those stories in advance of the exams to remind them just how special they were. Remind them also that AP exams, this is something that we did that I thought that was really helpful. Teachers liked it as well, that AP exams are written to be hard. If you're not having a hard time in your AP exam, like, maybe something is not right. Like, the exams are supposed to challenge you. You shouldn't be nervous if the exam is challenging you, if you're feeling a little sense of like, I may not know this. Students who ultimately earn a score of 5, that's a score band. You don't necessarily need to get every question correct in order to earn that 5. It's a score band, or a level rather. So kind of helping kind of dial down some of those high anxiety moments right before the exams with kids, with this, with a convening and a high five moment. I remember one year I made a big deal about the pencils. The pencils were a special thing for the kids, and we said that they were kind of magic pencils, and all the information that they needed was in this pencil, and here it is, and they're ready to go. And so, so fun things like that. And the AP coordinator kind of was in it and helped coordinate it and manage it and participated in those cheerleading moments. Those were always fun for students. I remember one year of the AP exams were just prior to the AP exam was scheduled just prior to senior banquet, and the AP teacher was so nervous that students wouldn't show up for the exam, instead to kind of like go get ready for senior banquet. And I remember kind of having this meeting with the AP teacher and with the coordinator, and we decided to hold their banquet tickets. They could not get their banquet ticket until after they finished their AP exam, much to the satisfaction of the teacher and support along the way, and the coordinator feeling kind of really good about that moment. The kids all showed up and they did what they needed to do. But those are you asked me about ways that a principal can help support AP coordinators, collaborate along the way. It's thinking outside the box in those ways, making sure that the weight that you can bring as the principal to clear the path for successful moments in an AP program, I think are what's most needed by principals. So those are some of the fun things we did. Now that I'm thinking about it, other things that we did, we did standard things like making sure that there was space in the hallway for coordinators to celebrate students who had kind of earned qualifying scores, or students in their AP programs kind of just participating in AP, however this, whatever the year, kind of the flavor of the year was, to recognize students in the hallway, making sure that they, of course, had prime real estate on. You wouldn't believe it, but like, wall space in a building becomes something like coveted and sought after. And the sports department will want certain walls, and the academic departments want, and counseling department wants certain walls, and they don't always want the walls just outside their kind of office space. They want the prominent space in big moments in the building. And so kind of clearing the path there is, these are kind of very tactical things that you can do as a school principal to help. But other things that we did is making sure that teachers understood the culture, you build AP into the culture of the school, right? And making sure that teachers knew that this was all teachers, not even just AP teachers, but all teachers knew that this was a big moment for the AP program and for the AP kids, and we were all working toward it. There would be no fire drills during, AP exam week. All teachers would kind of be in it together and help out and support as much as they needed it in terms of additional. We never had a teacher grimace at a proctoring schedule or needing to kind of help out in the hallway or support their colleagues. And so kind of helping to reinforce that family feeling and kind of all being a part of the AP program and experience, I think, is something else that principals can do.
Edward, those are a lot of really good ideas that I think coordinators are happy to hear from their perspective, just in terms of hearing all the things that principals do to help support them. So thanks for sharing that. I have another tough question for you, and it's the one I alluded to a little earlier. So Edward, in your opinion, what do successful AP programs have in common?
Oh, I'm really glad you asked me this question, Derek. It is a question that I get a lot in my role, and here's kind of where I've landed on an answer. And this is both kind of in my experience as kind of starting an AP program and coordinating an AP program in leading a school, but also in visiting schools all over the country. I think the common denominator here is about culture. What makes a successful AP program is the culture in the building. And what I mean by that is a culture. It's not just any culture, right? It's a specific culture. It is a culture of support and challenge. We're asking students to take on college level learning. We're asking AP teachers to deliver instruction at a college level. We're asking the AP coordinator to manage the experience in the building of that AP program. But what we need for the program to be successful is that there's a culture that both supports students in their efforts to grow in that college level experience. But we can't over-support, because if you over-support, students won't grow. We also need to challenge them, and programs that challenge kids to take academic risks every day and to challenge themselves to finish their assignments and do their best, even when it feels at times insurmountable or like a ton of work or too hard. That there's that challenge that we don't let them off the hook, right? That we challenge them and give them difficult tasks ahead of them. Too much support, kids don't grow. Too much challenge, kids kind of fall back and don't grow either. So cultures that have good balance of support and challenge, that is both kind of at the building level, it is at the class level, it's also at the individual student level, right? So the best AP programs that I've seen in the country have mechanisms that support and challenge everyone in the building kind of in the ways that they need that support and challenge. And so that's what I would say is what makes programs most successful. And I should note that culture building is hard. It cannot happen by just a single person. It has to be multiple adults with a variety of roles in the building, all rowing together in the same direction, using what they can in their capacity with their responsibilities to help build AP. But when you do, the benefits are extraordinary, and they're not just extraordinary for the students who participate in the AP program. Kind of, there's that saying that all boats rise. It is so true. We see that all over. That AP kind of helps teachers be better teachers. It helps students kind of set a new academic climate for the building, and then you see more and more students kind of wanting into those programs and achieving those college level standards while they're in high school. So a culture of challenge and support, I think, most successful AP, common denominator for most successful AP programs.
Edward, thank you. Thank you so much for your time today. And I think more so on behalf of the thousands and thousands of educators involved in AP, including all of the AP coordinators listening right now, we sincerely thank you for the work you do every day.
Oh, I really, I'm so happy to be here, and really, the thanks is not for me. It is for all the AP coordinators out there who work so hard to ensure that the AP experience is meaningful for the teachers and students who participate in the program. So the thanks isn't to me. It is certainly to everyone listening.
In our opening today, Edward, I said, once a coordinator, always a coordinator. And working at the College Board, I know firsthand how much you value and appreciate the work that AP coordinators do. And you are a former AP coordinator yourself. So with all that said, Edward Biedermann, what does being an AP coordinator mean to you?
Wow, a lot. Let me think. Okay, so at a minimum, an AP coordinator kind of orders exams and ensures that students are set up for success in testing. I guess this year and in the prior years, it was also connecting them through join codes to resources along the way. That's a minimum of what AP coordinators do. But I think being an AP coordinator is much more than that, and can be an extraordinarily important role in a school building. AP coordinators have the opportunity to create infrastructure that is needed for a program to flourish, right? AP coordinators can have access to the data in AP. They have access to the AP potential, making sure that AP coordinators can make sure that all of the students who are showing potential to succeed in a college level course have access and entrance into those college level courses. AP coordinators can look at the data and push their schools to offering new AP courses the school had not offered before. AP coordinators can cheerlead teachers to take on teaching courses they hadn't taught before. AP coordinators can get involved in the master schedule and kind of like ensure that teachers and AP classes are placed at the right moments in the day for kids, given kind of all that they have juggling. AP coordinators can create school moments, activities, festivities for students, kind of parent nights. They can create moments where the kids convene. The AP Bio kids convene with the AP English Language kids, or the AP coordinators can really help build the infrastructure that's needed to make AP a place where everyone flourishes. And so what I would say, what does the AP coordinator mean to me? I think an AP coordinator is often the person that is behind the scenes making the show great. And so these are the heroes in schools the ones that when I visit schools I like to talk to first, kind of like, how does it really work? What's really going on here, and what did it take to lift this and make this awesomeness a reality? So we can kind of like end on a note, on a high note where AP coordinators really do have an opportunity to use the tools that are available to them to make big changes in a building and push the building forward, in kind of a college going way. So I think it's way more than I said silly stories about collecting pencils and chasing AP teachers down the hallway and making sure that students weren't making too much noise during passing period when exams were happening. Way more than that. AP is about connecting students to college and career success. Big role for the coordinator.
At the start of this two-part episode, I referenced New York City, New Year's Eve, and that magical moment when the ball drops at the stroke of midnight. In fact, the city of New York is home to many of the largest and most prestigious AP programs in the world. It also happens to be headquarters for the College Board and many of my fantastic colleagues who, like Edward, passionately support the AP program. As Edward stated, clearing the path to AP program success, it can start with one AP coordinator doing amazing things for a school. A great AP coordinator, combined with great AP teachers, school administration, district administration, all working together to make a difference. Creating model AP programs, magically showing what it means to be coordinated.
Thank you for joining us. Coordinated is written, recorded, designed, and produced by Derek Cometa. Our executive producer is Bill Lankenow. Additional vocal support by AP coordinators Leslie Ladd and myself, Carly Suge. Artwork is by Amy O. She is enjoying AP drawing and 3 other APs at Savannah Arts Academy. Our theme music is Good as Gold by Jackie Ray, former AP Music Theory student at Oakton High School. For more information on AP coordinators, visit collegeboard.org/AP coordinator training. That's one word. collegeboard.org/AP coordinator training.
And my personal thanks go to Jim Cluley, Terry Redican, and all my colleagues at the College Board, including our special guest today, Edward Biedermann. Thank you so much for allowing me to connect with my favorite people in all of education. Speaking of AP coordinators, thank you for clearing the path, and thank you for always being good as gold.
And maybe I just don't know. I'll say it over and over and over again till I believe it's so. I'm good as gold.